All right. So that happened. All right. That's unexpected, I would say, going into the season where we thought that we were definitely going to be a team that was going to come out the gates looking at the schedule. We were like, oh, we're going to be able to come out and at least have a great October and then hopefully get the ball rolling. And then that's going to help out with the rest of the season. But so far, that hasn't happened. Well, hello, hello, hello. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. I'm Edwin Valentine, and I want to thank you very much for clicking on this live stream and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. Now, do the normal YouTube things, yakety, 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 yakety. What I got to talk to you about is what has happened to this Orlando Magic defense. I think that is the number one story here. Obviously, we knew that the offense was going to play differently this year, and we knew that that could have some implications and could affect the defense in some way. I made some videos, so if you're watching this on X, go on over to the YouTube channel. I have many videos along the way that talk about what I thought would be the implication of playing faster pace. Now, of course, we knew that meant that guys would get tired because we're trying to run more. We're trying to be more an offensive team. Obviously, not swing the pendulum all the way from being a defense only team to only being an offensive team. That's not something that I think anybody was expecting, that our identity would just instantly change and we're going to be the 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns or any famous offensive only or offensive first teams. That was definitely not going to be in anybody's bingo card, I would say. But just to have seen the Magic play defense for these first four games, and if it really wasn't for a good fourth quarter there against Miami, the Magic could be 0 and 4. And that's mainly because their defense. Now, if you look at the metrics, and I think, let's see if I look real quick at some of the metrics, I know for sure the Magic going into the game. I believe they were, let me now get my notes. Sorry, we were dealing with a family thing before, and I wasn't able to get 100% prepared for this, but I thought they were still a top 10 defense versus via defensive rating, and I'm pretty sure that that was the case. So, it's one of those things where you look at the stats and you would say, okay, well the Magic aren't doing so poorly, so we would be, let's see, so far in our ratings defensively, yeah, prior to this game, we had a 106.9 offense or defensive rating, excuse me, a 106.9 defensive rating, which was sixth best in the league. Offensive rating, but I guess that always ends up being the way it is. Our offensive rating was dead last at 102.5. We actually had a worse going into this game. We had a worse offensive rating than we had last year. Obviously, it was only 3 games. It's a small sample size, but when you have the sixth ranked defense, you're hoping that you're going to be able to win more than you lose, right? And for whatever reason, that has not been the case. Our blocks were down, our steals have been down. Obviously, our pace has gone way up. We've done a better job on the boards as well, which is a part of defense as well. So when you look at a lot of the stuff defensively, it's still okay. I don't know what the numbers say at the end of this game. I'll probably look those up while we are talking. But just to go over the regular counting bits to just kind of close out this, actually, no, we'll go into the defensive bit first. So if we go into, it might look a little clunky on your guys' end. So apologies if that's how it is, but we are going to see if they've added the 4 games here or the fourth game, if they've added it yet. No, they haven't yet. So I was hoping to be able to see that. But if I go to the game, I should be able to see it. Now I'm just really looking to try to find this, what the defensive rating is here. There we go. Advanced. Uh, why is that? Okay. So none of it is up just yet, unfortunately. Okay. So then we'll just go to the regular old traditional stats. But that's where we were already going into the third or going into the fourth game. We had a 106.9 defensive rating, which was still, again, sixth best. If you saw my video about the bold predictions for the year, I thought we would still be a top five overall defense in that respect. So because we were supposed to have a much better offense, we were going to obviously win game after game after game after game. And right now, the offense, even if you look at the scoring, well, we scored over 120 points again in this one. So we've done that twice in 4 games. That's something that we hadn't really done much of last year. We gave up 136 points. We almost gave up 140 points in this game in regulation. 136 points to a team that doesn't have their former MVP and doesn't have a former All NBA player. And they scored 136 points against this Orlando Magic team, which is largely healthy. We have Jalen. Jalen played in this game. He was in foul trouble for a good portion of it, and he still is a bit on a minutes restriction, but he played and Tyrese Maxey was able to score on him as well. So it's not like, oh, we were missing Jalen, and that was a lot of our excuses last year. Part of it is the fact that we don't have that second guard that's able to defend at a high level in the starting lineup. That's just the reality of the situation. KCP, for all his flaws last year, is a better defender than Desmond Bain. That's just the reality of the situation. So we have someone that is a worse defender and in the starting lineup, but you are hoping that whatever difference in their defense is that Desmond would bring so much more offense, which he has scored more, than KCP has. So it's not that it's been a complete wash. It's just what he was brought in to do is something that he's not doing at the moment. Like he was brought in to shoot threes. That was what his role was. Like the Magic gave up so much, and this just hasn't worked out as well as we had hoped, other than that first game where he went 3 of 7. He's pressing, maybe the same thing happened to KCP last year, getting that big contract, and it just the pressure was too much for him and he just couldn't shoot. So that might be what's happening to Desmond Bain right now. Like Desmond Bain could just crawl out of bed and shoot over 40% in an NBA season. Last year he was a little under 40%, but he's shooting way under right now, right? He shot less than 15% in the preseason, and now at least he shot 7 3-pointers in this game as opposed to the last game where he only shot a couple 3-pointers. I need him to have Franz level 3-point shooting, even if that means he's shooting 29%. Hopefully that's not the case. And again, he's too good of a shooter for that. So I think that's where I'm a bit surprised and disappointed if we're going to talk a little bit about the offense, which I veered into instead of just focusing on the defense, that Desmond Bain is supposed to be shooting 3-pointers. Right now, he's not. I don't know if he's in his head about it, and for whatever reason, he's just not comfortable shooting threes. And that's fair enough to an extent, but sorry, bro. Like that's why you're here. You're here to shoot threes. The math has always been our problem, or has been the last few years, in that we're okay with shooting twos. It's not that we don't need another guy shooting twos on this team. We shot pretty well from two. Well, we shot okay from twos last year. We need somebody to shoot threes. That was always what we needed. That's what we brought in KCP for, and that's what we brought in Desmond for. And so far, we're 0 for 2 in that respect. It's a long season. It's only 4 games. So we'd like to not overreact, but we're fans. So we're going to overreact a little bit. But, so right now I'm pure id. I'm just going for it at this point. But the rational side will eventually start to kick in and say, hey, I watched his beginning of last season with the Memphis Grizzlies, and Desmond got off to a slow start last year as well. Maybe that's going to be something that he'll start to kick in a little bit later on in November. Hopefully, let's hope it's the next game in October. But maybe that's what's going to be the case. But if he's not going to be shooting threes and if he's just going to be shooting 2 point baskets, then he needs to play the defense that KCP was playing. And that's going to be the problem, right? He's not going to be able to play defense at such a level. So that's where we're suffering. And that's why our defense is not what it is. And everyone I saw in a lot of different notes throughout the offseason that Desmond Bain is a good defender. He's a good defender. He's a good defender. That's where sometimes stats aren't always the number one go to, and that's why in all my videos I use the stats as well as video. That's why I like to show video with my videos. I like to show film with my videos because yeah, that somebody could shoot 2 of 5 from three, but then both of those could like rattle in and out, or one could be two bank shots, which means that you were not accurate. Like, yeah, they went in, but you didn't shoot them correctly and they didn't go in the way they should have. So again, they did go in, but your eyes can say something different than the stats, and that's where we're at right now. So right now, Franz is taking a little bit more of a back seat just to make sure that Desmond is getting his, and he needs to shoot threes. He doesn't need to be driving because that was the stat that everybody talked about with KCP last year. Like, oh, okay, yeah, he shot a career high in 2 pointers. Great. That's not what we got you for. We got you to shoot threes. Like we are okay with 2 point shots. We got Paolo and Franz that'll be able to shoot 2 point shots. We've got other guys that can shoot mid range shots and get to the basket. That's not what we need. We need 3 point shots. And unfortunately, we're not getting that from our two guard. And right now, that's because of not getting all those threes and the defense not being to the level that we had it before. That's just why, right? Because even when Jalen left, or when Jalen was injured last year, we still were able to maintain a good defense over the course of the season. And a lot of that was due to KCP. Love him or hate him because of the 3 point shooting. KCP was somebody that was very important to our defense as a whole. So that's why I talk about it. I've talked about it and was very excited because KCP was not a high volume 3 point shooter, but he was a 3 point shooter. And now we were getting a more high volume 3 point shooter, and he's not shooting the high volume. He did get to 7 by the end of the game today, but as we saw, Maxi threw up over 10. Like, we need more 3 pointers. And last year, Franz was shooting more 3 pointers because he knew that's just what the team needed to do. Even though he wasn't making them, he still needed to shoot them to keep the defenses honest. And right now, they're able to pack the defense, or they're able to pack the paint and on Paulo and on Franz. He was meant to space out everything, and that's just unfortunately not happening on the offensive end. And because that's not happening on the offensive end, that also affects the defense because then the defense just isn't to the level that we would need it to be. So I think that is the, let's say, the secondary issue that we currently have with the defense. Other than that, really, if you look at it, I in different cases in this game, we saw that the Magic are able to elevate their defense and able to focus on trying to slow down a Tyrese Maxey or an Edgecombe. So in the end, they ended up putting Franz on Edgecombe, and his length was affecting him because Franz is a good defender. There have been a couple times though in these first few games that Franz has been out of place. He's been in the wrong spot, and he's been able to, and backdoor cuts have been happening on him. These are things that really didn't happen much last year. So those are the surprising kind of things. AB was just getting torched. Now that this one is not his fault. I would say on the defensive end, it's not his fault in that it's Tyrese Maxey is special. He's super fast. So AB is a bit like he got played on Oubre a couple times, and AB was able to stay in front of Oubre because Oubre is a much bigger body, but Tyrese is just way too fast, and AB did his best, and there was a couple times where he was able to slow him down a little bit, but it just wasn't going to be the case. Now, we probably went too late into slowing down Edgecombe because going into the game, you knew that's what was going to be the problem. You knew the guards were going to be the problem, right? Like that wasn't, hopefully the coaching staff knew, like I knew about it and I talked about it in the pregame, that that's just what was going to happen. We knew that the team was going to have a tough time slowing down the guards. It was always going to be the case. And obviously, you don't want to burn Franz too much on both ends and just have him be on Edgecombe the whole time. But when he was on a roll, we probably should have thrown another body on him or a different body just to see what we can do instead of the same thing over and over and over and over. And all they did was continue to do the same thing. They stayed on their plan. They stayed aggressive. They stayed on point. They knew how to attack us. So now, where are we now as a defense? Is that something that we need to really start asking? Because we still can do the block. We can still get blocks. Like Wendell has a few blocks. Paolo's been a beast on blocks, which is great that he's doing a great job on the defensive end and coming over when as a help side defender and getting some good blocks. So Paolo's locked in on blocks. We have Goga, who weirdly can get it has been getting a few, but he does feel a little bit slow or a little bit off on some of the drives that I felt like he got a lot of them last year, but for some reason he's just a little bit off, and being that little bit off just means that the guy is able to get the ball over top. And as you saw a lot, Maxi was able to throw it high off the backboard and get him to go over Goga. So that in that respect, the Goga feels like a tenth of an step short, and it's just he's not getting to those basketballs the way he did last year. So I think that's a bit of a problem. And if we're not getting blocks from Paulo, or excuse me, from Wendell or Goga, then and if Ji is not going to play, because in a game like this where the offensive players are the ones that are we have to have offense on there at all times. So Ji didn't see the court. It would have he might have had to throw Ji out there just to kind of see, right? And I think that's where we start to really get, as we see on X and all of that right now, talking about coaching. And okay, is Mosley in trouble, and all the discussions that we can or that we're hearing right now already. Like, it's too soon. Everybody needs to pump their brakes, but you got to try something. They did try by putting Noah out there instead of Ji. I don't know if just Noah is not really a sharpshooter. Like, he's never done it in the NBA. At least Ji has done it in the NBA at one point. So I can see why we tried that, and that's great that Noah got his opportunity at least early on in the game. There, it just wasn't enough defensively for Noah. Noah wasn't going to be able to stay in front of these guys really anyway, and realistically, probably neither was Ji. But why not give it a shot? Same thing. Go with Jace. If we're going offense mostly, why doesn't Jace see the court until the last few seconds of the fourth quarter? Like, let's try and do something now. Again, to give them credit, to give the Magic credit, they were able to get back into the game. They were able to make it interesting, at least throughout most of the fourth quarter. I worried in the third quarter that we were expending so much energy that it was they were gonna kind of punch us in the mouth earlier in the fourth quarter, and we wouldn't have any more stamina to really get going. It felt like the Memphis game last year. In Memphis is what it felt like. That's what this game felt like to me. It felt more like that, where really nothing we could do was stopping the Memphis Grizzlies last year, and they just kind of blitzed us. Now, we were able to cut it close because of our defense, but in the end, it was just too much. Their offense was too much, and that's really what this felt like to me. It felt more like that it just was something that it was difficult for us to even slow guys. If Eric Gordon shot a couple threes and hit them, right? It was that kind of a night. So again, it's the NBA, and sometimes you just run into a buzzsaw and some guys just go crazy, but it didn't feel like they were crazy. They didn't shoot 55 three-pointers like Boston would have and hit 33 of them, and there's no way you could have been in the game, right? They ended up with what, 14? Is that what they ended up with? 3 point wise, they ended up with 14 three-pointers. They shot 33. That's it, right? We ended up shooting only 25. This is the second game in a row that we're in the 20s. We need to shoot 33 pointers. It's a math problem. It's always been a math problem, and the Magic, for whatever reason, are choosing or have chosen for the last couple games to go for the 2 point basket, and that's where the Desmond Bain bit comes up again, right? Again, he ended up scoring. He ended up scoring very well, right? Like Desmond was there, 24 points. He fouled out. He competed. He gave a forearm shiver or a shoulder into Maxi just to kind of let him know that we're not going to get punked. So that was something that Desmond competed. 17 shots. Again, he almost had the most shots on the team. So I don't know if this is again something that the coaching staff needs to get in and reorient the offense, because right now Paulo or Franz only scored or only shot 12 times in the game. Wendell Carter Jr. almost shot as many times as Franz, and there was no one that was stopping Franz. It wasn't that they had some great defender, right? There was somebody that would affect Wendell's uh, shot more. As you see, he missed 11 shots. The same thing with Goga. They were having to compete with those bigs in for Philadelphia. So why does Franz only end up with 12 shots, especially when we're looking to having to outscore them? Again, Desmond competed. Desmond did all that could be asked of him, except for shooting the threes. Like 10 field goal made, 8 of 10 from inside the arc. That's great. That's wonderful if the other team isn't launching threes and making them. If they're launching threes and making them, then that needs to be the adjustment that the Magic make. They have to start shooting them. And we saw at one point they shot coming out of a timeout, they shot 2 or 3 3-pointers in a row and they missed them all. But again, that's something that they it stinks, but they need to continue to shoot. Even if they're missing them, they need to continue to shoot. So that's, I'm talking a lot about the offense, and the offense does lead into the defense because if the offense is playing very, very, very well, then that puts a lot of pressure on the other team. But we were playing from behind the whole entire game because their offense was playing really well, right? So it affected our defense. Now, is this going to be something that is just going to be our reality, right? Are we just always going to be playing from behind now because our defense isn't able to slow anybody down? And what what did they end up? What did we end up? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find the Pistons score because we play the Pistons next, and the Pistons looked like they were struggling. Yeah. Well, they only scored 95 points and lost by 21 points to the Cavaliers at home. So maybe we have a do right game by playing the Pistons, and that's going to be a team that will be able to uh, do our work on the defensive end and keep them from playing super great, maybe, and maybe that'll start to snowball and stack wins as they talked about for the Magic this year in stacking wins and stacking days. So right now we're stacking not really good stuff. So it's not what is it? You're stacking manure at this point instead of stacking gold bricks, and that's where I think we're kind of stuck. And that's the feeling around everything on X, as you can see, and everything around the team right now. You could already see the body language, right? And we have Jalen, so we can't really say, oh well, Jalen was the heart of the team, and everything after he left was what suffered because we had Paolo and Franz at different points in the middle of last season, and we just weren't winning. We had that homestand where we could have again piled on wins and maybe even gotten to the 6th seed and played New York, which could have been an easier time for us in that respect. And we just couldn't do it. And that's what it feels like is happening right now. So I don't know if it's just reconfiguration of who gets what shots, kind of a definition of roles that needs to be done as well on the offensive end. The bench, this was the concern with the bench as a whole and them not being able to be a championship level bench. And AB with 10 shots is good, and that's something that we need him to continue to be aggressive. And unfortunately, he missed a couple shots that would have been key in the fourth quarter. But I appreciated his aggression. But only one shot for Penda, one shot for Tyus, 2 shots for Tristan. That's just not gonna cut it. So I think this one was a heavy starter game, and it's we'll go over everybody's stats in the end to cap it off, but just a discussion here that to recap, to put things, I'd say to start to put things in a bow. Really, our defense isn't great right now. obviously, even no matter what the numbers say, if our defensive rating is good when they put all the numbers together, great, all of that's fine. We gave up 136 points. The defense isn't great right now, and that is due in part to what we're getting from the two guard spot because the rest of the team was there last year, right? The only change is that. And as well as losing somebody like Gary Harris off the bench, he rarely shot, right? Tyus only had one shot really. So what's the difference in that respect? But now Tyus is playing and he's unable to slow anybody down, which is something that even watching the stats or watching his video from last year or watching his film from last year, it didn't feel this bad as well. And we saw by the end of the season, he ended up getting benched when he started the season as a starter. So maybe we really start to uncap Jace a bit more and see what we can get from him. And maybe he can breathe a little bit of life into that second unit because a game like this, to have our full complement of starters and to have our bench just barely together, they were only at 20 points earlier, and then I guess they ended up with 24 points in the end. Yeah, 24 points. That's horrifically bad. Like that is just really poor, and it's unfortunate because we have really great players on the bench, and we can play so much better. So that was the disappointment there. So defense isn't good right now. The offense was better today. Obviously, we had plenty of points, 124 points. If you score that many in the NBA, you really should be winning games. You shouldn't be losing by double figures. Um, yeah, we're just not shooting enough threes. We're not making enough threes, of course, but you know, we were down by we lose by 6 3-point shots, which is 18. So if you do the math, it is what it is. And obviously missing our free throws and stuff like that. But we missed our free throws last year, and we were able to win a lot of games. We missed our free throws 2 years ago, and we were able to win over 40 games in the year, over 45. I forget what it was, 47 or so in that season. So what's happening. We're not seeing an evolution, and I think that's the disappointing part with our 3-point shot and our free throw shooting. But really, more than anything, it's the 3-point shooting and the volume of 3-point shots is we need to continue to increase that. But on the defensive end, we are deficient right now, and hopefully. We have a good game and we're able to start communicating, and maybe they'll have a we'll see who the leaders on this team are. Maybe Desmond will be the one to have a closed door meeting, or Tyus, or whomever. Jalen, someone needs to have a closed door meeting to really start to get the get things on track because you don't want to get too far behind if you're trying to have good seeding in the Eastern Conference and being able to have a lighter schedule in the playoffs. If you make it there, we don't have our draft pick. We can't mess around this year with tanking, or this year or any year in the next four. I think our only draft pick we have that's fully ours is next year's 2027's draft is the only one that we have that we fully own, no problems, and that's it. So we can't mess around. So defense has to get better, and our 3-point shots just have to continue. They need to continue to shoot them. It is what it is, and that's that. So now let's go over everybody's stats. So if we look through the stats of each guy, Franz, in 36 minutes. Again, the starters played a lot of minutes in this one. In 36 minutes of play, he ended up with 22 points on 8 of 12 shooting. Only 12 shots for Franz is too low. 104 from three, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds. Excuse me. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, one block shot, no turnovers, which was great for Franz. But the ball just isn't in his hands anymore, and we'll have to see if that's just something that we can start to remedy. 32 points for Paolo in 38 minutes, 10 of 18 from the field, so a good efficient day from him. 1 of 4 from 3, 11 of 11 from the free throw line. Excellent for the averages. 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, so he was filling the stat sheet in this one. Wendell Carter Jr. with a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds on 4 of 11 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3, 1 of 3 from the free throw line. 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Desmond, 24 points on 10 of 17 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3-point land, which wasn't bad, so I don't know why he's not shooting more. 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and he fouls out. Jalen started again, had 12 points in 20 minutes, 4 of 7 shooting, nice and efficient. 1 of 3 from the field, 3 of 4, or excuse me, 1 of 3 from 3 point land, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. 4 turnovers, unfortunately, though. So, still a pretty good game from Jalen, other than the assists as he, excuse me, other than the turnovers as he gets back into game action and getting his body right. So hopefully he can continue to get better. AB, 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 1 of 3 from three, 3 of 7 from the free throw line. He's really struggling from the free throw line, and he really needs to get that under control, because he's going to be our big scoring punch until Mo comes back, and he needs to continue to increase his volume. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, or no blocks. So yeah, 1 block, 3 turnovers, unfortunately. So yeah, so you have 2 assists, but 3 turnovers. Again, underwater on turnovers for AB. Noah saw the court in the first half, which was good to see. He ended up 1 of 1, shooting that 1 3-pointer. 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and that's all for Noah, really. Tyus, only 10 minutes in this game, 1 of 1 from the field with a little floater that he hit. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal for his 2 points. Goga, 14 minutes of action, 5 points, 2 of 3 from the 2 of 3 from the field, no 3 pointers, 1 of 4 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. And Tristan, no points. This is the type of game that I talked about in his player profile that we really need to try to eliminate as much as possible. Really, no imprint in this game at all. After playing so well at the beginning of the season, or still at the beginning of the season, in the first few games, he just did nothing in this game. And I know it was going to be difficult for him defensively, but again, you can still play poorly defensively, but you can get it back on offense, right? Somebody like Luka Doncic isn't the best defender. There are some metrics that say everything, but we all know that really he's not the best defender in the world. But when he can score what he can score, then sure, his defense stinks, but he can score what he can score. Same thing for Tristan. You knew he was going to get blown by a bit in this game, but fine, leave him in there, shoot the three, do what you can on the offensive end, so that you're not just getting blown by for nothing. He spent 14 minutes on the court, had 2 shots. He missed an alley oop because he's just not in rhythm. He missed a 3 point shot. He got 2 rebounds and an assist. That's it. 14 minutes of action. That's the type of presence that we don't want. And that's why my big word for him this year was presence. He needed to be present and put an imprint in each one of the games. And he did nothing in this one, unfortunately. And Jace was able to finally get into the game just with at the end of the game there for 55 seconds. He ended up with an assist, which I think we really need to start looking at the rotations, and I'm sure that's something that the coaching staff will start to do. They're still experimenting. There was one game that Noah gets in, one game that Jace gets in. Jet hasn't played a couple games now. Ji hasn't either. So they're still experimenting, and that is something that we need to realize as well. There's a lot of new guys. There's more new guys in this team than there has been in years in this version of the Magic. So it will take time. It will take time. We just hope it doesn't take too long, because we can't again fall too far behind in the conference standings, because we want to make sure that we are in a good place seating wise for when we make the playoffs, because we're going to make the playoffs. I know I said it earlier, like, oh, if we make the playoffs, we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to shoot better than what we're shooting now. These are all things that I have 100% certainty on, just because of the way math works, right? So even then, like I said, we shot 32% in this game. We shot 20 something percent from three in the last game, but you saw we shot 38% in the first game, right? So we are capable, but a lot of that does come with Dez shooting the three, and he needs to shoot more often. And yeah, that's really the long and the short of it. Is not too complicated, really, in a lot of instances, and that's what it is. Defensively, we just need to make more Well, we need to take more 3 point shots on offense, and on defense. We have to be able to have active hands and not foul. All we're doing is fouling right now, and we're not taking the ball away. That was a superpower for the defense last year. It was not stopping the teams or holding them, excuse me, he's not holding their field goal percentages down. That wasn't what our superpower was as a defense last year. It was taking the ball away. Not only the block shots, but the steals. But right now, we have very few steals, and that right there is just something that's gonna affect everything. If you can't turn the other team over and convert that on the other end offensively, then you're gonna have a team scoring 136 points on you because they gave the ball away a total of what, 5, 6 times. That's incredible, and that's just not Magic basketball. And it's going to be difficult for the Magic to win any games if they're not able to play at a higher level on defense, even with an offense that can score now. So fingers crossed we start to see it in Detroit. Detroit seems to be struggling out the gate as well. So, what looked like a battle of titans when the schedule came out might just be a clash of one-win teams or teams that are currently struggling. So, we'll see where we are in the next after the next game. But at the moment, it's we're feeling disappointed. Everybody's licking their wounds. So hopefully, one of the vets gets everybody together to really have an airing out, just to see, kind of a check to make sure everybody knows everybody where everybody's role is, and everybody knows that we're all trying to swim in the same direction, and we're all trying to row in the same direction and at the same time as a unit, because it's not happening right now on defense. So we'll see what the next game has in store, and hopefully it's going to be a much better one for the Orlando Magic. So and this is again, this is Edwin Valentine. I really appreciate you clicking on this video. Do the normal YouTube things, hit that like, share the video, all the normal things. And I really, 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 if you're one to do so, hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any contents that I produce. I'm gonna likely put together a video on the defense, maybe not for this particular game, but over the course of the next couple games, and put some of that out. And I'll probably do like a recap video for the first week of Magic basketball, just so that it might be a forgettable week. And we hope this is it's all up from here. But I will be continuing to produce content, so hit that subscribe so you don't miss out on any of that. And again, thank you for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. I hope you're having a great day or a great night.